Hey boys and girls, welcome to MR2 Spyder for Dummies. This means you, just kidding. We're looking at the motor mount in MR2 Spyder. This is the engine side motor mount, okay? It's between the engine and the fender. And we're going to need to remove this motor mount in order to access the alternator that I'll talk about later. So just basically covering the points of removing the motor mount. There's 3 bolts on the underside of the motor mount that have to be accessed from underneath the car, and I'll show you how. And then 1 more bolt on top. And then when they're all removed, the 3 bolts underneath and the top bolt, then the bridge mount can be removed. The bridge can be removed, and it becomes easier to access the alternator. We're looking up from underneath this Toyota MR2 Spyder at the 3 motor mount bolts. These have to be removed in order to remove the motor mount. They're very awkward to reach and turn from above, so they have to be turned from underneath. I'm going to show you how. I've taken a socket with 2 very long, 2 extensions, okay, and by using this, I can reach up. Hard to do it one-handed, but okay, I can get onto the bolt like this. You see it? I'm on one of the bolts, and I can turn my socket. I already broke it loose, so it's just a matter of turning to remove the first bolt. Then same thing with the second bolt and the third one. And in case you're concerned about this, the engine is supported by the front and rear mount, so it remains supported. There's very little movement in the engine when you loosen these bolts. So the bolts can be removed, and we go back above to continue the removal of the motor mount. So in order to turn this top bolt, it's a 17mm hex socket, or M12, okay? And it's important that when you try to turn it, you provide a counter force. Okay, so you provide a counter force. Usually this bolt is pretty tight. I've already broken it loose. So I'm gonna just simply continue turning it. Continue turning it. See if it's loose enough to turn by hand. Okay, it's coming out. Okay, so the bolt has come out, and we remove the bridge. A little bit of fiddling, we remove this bridge. Okay, so now we have improved access to the alternator that we need to remove. And of course, this damper can be removed pretty easily. It has 3 bolts, 2 straight down into the fender and 1 up on the side, and that will improve our access even more. So let's do that. Okay, so I broke loose the 2 bolts that hold the motor mount into the fender. They're 14mm head M10. And the final bolt right here comes in from the wheel well side. So we have to take out the wheel well liner in order to turn this bolt, and then the motor mount. Removing the bolt that comes in the motor mount through the wheel well. And actually it's not necessary to remove the wheel well liner. If you just pull it back a little bit right here, so at about 1 or 2 o'clock, you'll feel the head of the bolt and you can put a wrench on it and turn it without removing the wheel well liner and without removing the wheel. So this is really convenient. Of course, this is a stock Spyder that you can do this on. So it's stock sized wheel and stock ride height. If this were a larger wheel or a lowered car, you'd have to remove the wheel probably. To do this, I'm using this wrench with an articulated head, and it's 14mm socket. I've already turned the bolt, and it's gonna come right out. Here it is. Okay, so now we go back here, and the motor mount is completely free to remove the damper, and we can access the alternator unimpeded.